Stop believing every video you watch. Not every reel, not every mindset coach, not even every friend, and also especially not every tarot reading is wisdom. A lot of it is just projection in a pretty font, or worse, someone's business model. You ever scroll through your feed and feel like every video is trying to fix you? Like, here's one secret to healing your trauma, or 5 steps to manifest your dream life by Friday. Most of them are just people trying to turn pain into profit. And I say that as someone who has been there, who has shared advice and later thought, wait, was that actually for them, or was that me talking to myself, or my past self rather? Let's talk about what happens when you take in too much advice and how it slowly disconnects you from your own wisdom. And to make that clear, I'm not here to be a teacher or an expert. I'm just a person who has gotten burned enough times to learn how to spot the smoke. There is good advice out there, but it's buried under a pile of projection and performance. And it is so exhausting trying to tell the difference. We live in an era where everyone is a guru, everyone is a coach, except somehow they all still look like they are hustling hard while telling you how to live your best life. I think you know what I mean. Your divorced friend tells you marriage is a trap. That's not advice, that's just their story. Your broke uncle gives you investment tips. If they worked, he wouldn't still be broke, right? Your parents tell you to pick the safe job. Translation: please choose stability so you don't have to face the uncertainty I once did. And then there's the self-care content that somehow makes you feel worse. If you're not meditating at 5 a.m., journaling for gratitude and glowing like a crystal under the full moon, you're doing it wrong. No, you're not. You're human. You are allowed to rest. And like I said, I'm not pretending I'm above this. Even in my own tarot readings, I have to check myself sometimes. Like, am I actually channeling what's coming through for the person I'm reading for? Or am I projecting my own story, my own experiences into it because it's still sitting heavy somewhere in me? And it happens especially when you care. We all do it. We want to help. But sometimes what comes out is actually our unfinished business, not their guidance. And that's okay as long as we stay aware of it. Awareness is the antidote to projection. The sad thing is, social media made projection profitable. If you can say it with enough confidence, you can sell it as truth. And the scariest part, the most viral content isn't the most wise, it's the most certain. Influencers talk like prophets now. They don't say this worked for me, they say this will work. And that certainly feels comforting until you realize you're being coached into someone else's unresolved trauma. And what I noticed on my feed lately is it's not fear-based advice as much anymore that gets you, it's fantasy. So much content promises things that are barely humanly possible. Quit your 9 to 5 and make 6 figures in 6 months. Heal all your trauma in one workshop. Manifest your soulmate by the next full moon. It sounds inspiring, but it's actually exhausting because the moment you believe it, you start treating your normal human pace like failure. You start wondering why your growth doesn't look like a highlight reel. That is the hidden cost. Each unrealistic promise chips away at your self-trust. You start doubting your own timing, your process, your quiet season. And every time you try to catch up to someone else's timeline, you move a little bit further away from your own. Real wisdom doesn't make promises, it offers perspective. It doesn't say, here's how to fix everything. It says, hey, here's what's helped me, maybe it sparks something for you. In my experience, if the advice sounds like a guarantee, it's probably marketing. If it sounds like an invitation, it's probably real. And that brings us to the cost of chasing these illusions, the part that sneaks up on you. If you take every advice at face value, you will end up living a life that belongs to everyone but you. You will hustle because someone said it's the only path to freedom, burn out, then buy the burnout recovery course. You will chase alignment by copying someone else's morning routine and wonder why it doesn't feel like yours. At some point, you have got to pause and ask, is this advice helping me grow or just making me easier to sell to? And discernment isn't glamorous. It's not something you can post a pretty quote about, but it's powerful. It's what keeps you sane when everyone is shouting solutions. You start listening differently. Instead of asking, does this sound true? You start asking, does this feel true for me? A few red flags I watch for: if it feels fear-driven. Anything that starts with don't ever, you have to, is usually control, not clarity. The one-size-fits-all. Real wisdom always leaves space for context. You walk away smaller, not wiser. If you feel drained or doubtful instead of inspired, it wasn't guidance, it was projection. And the biggest red flag, they are selling the fix immediately after. If someone convinces you you're broken and then offers to fix you, that is a red flag. When you already know all of this, how do you trust yourself again? What I like doing is taking a content detox. Go a day or a weekend without scrolling. Notice how your thoughts are yours again. A big one, always journal without editing. Don't filter or spiritualize your answers. Just write what's real, what's messy, what's true. It can be half sentences. It can just be single words that don't fully form thoughts. That all is okay. And ask intuitive checking questions like, does this advice make me feel peaceful or pressured? Am I acting from inspiration or fear? A big one, spend time in silence. No music, no podcasts, no videos, just you, your thoughts, and a little discomfort. That's often where your own wisdom starts to speak up. And practice saying, I don't know yet. Not every decision needs an immediate answer. Let your truths form in quiet instead of rushing to fill the gap. When you constantly take in everyone else's advice, you don't just lose trust in your own voice, you make it harder for others to really know you. Because if you're always switching philosophies, healing methods, identities, depending on who you watched last, you stop showing up as you. Taking on others' advice without double-checking can create loneliness. Not the kind that is solved by company, but the kind that comes from being a stranger to yourself. That's the real cost of believing everything you watch. It's not just confusion, it's disconnection from yourself. And rebuilding that connection takes time, but it's worth it. Because once you can hear your own voice clearly, everything else gets quieter. And to connect with yourself again, here's my invitation for a journal prompt. What's one piece of advice that's been echoing in your head lately? Whose voice was it really? Yours or theirs? And what happens if you stop obeying it for a while just to see what your own voice says instead? So yeah, stop believing every video you watch, including mine. Sit with it, feel it out, keep what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if this helped you filter the noise, please hit subscribe. I would love to see you again. And if not, I wish you a good life. Thank you for watching.